Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking on a piece of content that's less like an article and more like a landmine buried in hip hop history.
A landmine is a good way to put it. We're looking at a 2015 list, and it's called, very bluntly, the 10 absolutely worst rappers of all time.
And this list, you have to understand, it was designed to start a fire.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The author made it clear they weren't going after, celebrity vanity projects. So no Kevin Federline, no Macho Man Randy Savage.
Right.
Their mission was to find artists who built an entire successful career on what they call trash bars.
So the criteria for worst here is really specific. We're talking maddeningly lazy delivery, just genuinely awful lyrics.
And content sort of bears, it's like impossible to defend by traditional standards. It's all about technique, flow, and how the lyrics are built.
Yeah, and the list sort of immediately frames this conflict between, being technically terrible but commercially huge.
Exactly. It asks that fundamental question. Does selling millions of records and changing the culture, does that excuse poor execution?
We're not going to bury the lead here. Let's just set the standard right now. The artist that this author crowned is the absolute definitive worst rapper of all time.
The one who supposedly represents every single flaw they critique.
Is Soulja Boy tell him?
Yep. He was called the Voltron Force of garbage MCs.
Oof.
A combination of all the worst traits. And the critique of Crank that it wasn't just that the song was simple. It was the abysmal lyrics, the horrendous cadence, and this is key, the terrible production, which he mostly did himself.
So the argument is basically that Soulja Boy built a multi-million-dollar career with, zero technical merit.
That's the argument, and that really sets the stage perfectly.
Yeah.
If he's the benchmark for career-long garbage, let's see who else is on this list.
Okay, let's unpack it, starting with an entry that caused just immediate widespread outrage. At number 10, Eazy.
And this is where the tension just kicks in right away. The author admits, Eazy is an undeniable West Coast pioneer. A legend.
Sure, they're not attacking his legacy.
No, they're trying to surgically remove his flow. And just look at that. The criticism is that his delivery was jerky and stilted.
They compared it to someone reading from a malfunctioning teleprompter. That is harsh.
It's very harsh. And when you think about his cultural weight, you can see why the comments section just exploded.
Oh, for sure. People rushed in calling him the godfather of gangsta rap, a legend, praising his unique voice. For them, his charisma just completely overshadowed any technical issue.
Totally. But the article offers this very specific counter-argument, and it's rooted in NWA's history.
Which is?
Well, the critics argue that since Ice Cube and MC Ren wrote most of his early stuff, Eazy was basically reading these complex, pre-written lyrics that didn't really fit his natural cadence.
And that's what caused that sort of stilted, unnatural delivery.
That's the theory. But then you have to ask, if we're judging on impact, does it matter who wrote the lyrics? Eazy-E delivered them with this incredible conviction and defined a whole genre.
Right. Is it fair to hold this, technical requirement of flawless flow against someone who literally changed music history?
Well, that's the core debate, isn't it? For the list's author, technique is everything. For the commenters, Eazy's success, even his post-Cube success, proves that the skill of being a pioneer is more valuable than having perfect rhymes.
It's like a general doesn't have to be the best soldier, they just have to win the war.
Exactly. And that distinction carries right on into the No Limit Records section.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Master P at number 9.
And his brother, Silk the Shocker, at number 8.
The critique of Master P is less about rhythm and more about just the raw sound. The author hated his tone, called it screaming sewage.
And said he rapped like he was perpetually in caps lock. I can kind of hear that.
It's a critique of that harsh, almost untrained sound of his voice. But then with his brother, Silk, the criticism gets super specific. It's all about timing.
He was called out for being consistently, and they argue, intentionally offbeat.
Yeah, and this is where a technical flaw basically becomes your whole identity. The author had this amazing description of Silk not just being offbeat, but being in a different library from the track.
I think my favorite was like a bow-legged toddler trying to catch a butterfly.
It's so vivid. But if you listen, his vocals really do start or end just a little too early or too late. It creates this constant rhythmic wobble that's pretty jarring if you're used to traditional flows.
But I guess the question is, doesn't that chaotic delivery sort of fit the whole loud, high-energy, no-limit sound, or is it just sloppy?
For traditionalists, it's sloppy. For No Limit fans, it was the sound of the brand raw, aggressive. But the main defense of Master P, which the comments really hammered home, was his role as a businessman.
So they weren't defending his bars, they were defending his hustle.
100%. He built an empire in the South at a time when the region was just starving for its own industry infrastructure. The argument shifts from the mic to the boardroom.
So if your technical flaws help you sound unique and build an industry, are they still flaws?
That is the question. Okay, so leaving the pioneers behind, let's get into the artists who were critiqued more for, like, effort and lyrical laziness, starting with P. Diddy at number 5.
The Diddy critique is interesting. It's almost ethical. He famously bragged he wrote checks, not rhymes.
Right. And the author's argument is just devastatingly simple. If you could afford any ghostwriter in the world, why are the rhymes you buy so long? Mediocre.
The line was, he was paying Jay-Z prices for Jaquan lyrics. That's brutal.
It's a killer line. It's a critique of a curator who buys the best ingredients but still makes a bad meal. He's accused of spending his whole career stealing the spotlight just to deliver these uninspired verses.
Which contrasts perfectly with Mike Jones at number 6. He wasn't buying bad rhymes.
No, he just invented this brilliantly lazy way to fill space with almost zero effort back in, 2004?
Mike Jones is the undisputed king of repetition. The source points to his verse on Still Tippin', where he repeats that one line.
Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me.
Yeah, that one. He says it 4 times in a row to fill out a 16-bar verse.
I mean, you hear it once, it's catchy. You hear it 4 times, you realize this man is just conserving energy.
It's genius marketing branding through repetition, but it's so lazy from a technical standpoint. It's the ultimate trade-off of complexity for commercial efficiency.
And for the author, that trade-off lands him right on this list.
Okay, speaking of technical flaws, let's get surgical with Big Sean at number 7. This is probably the deepest technical takedown in the whole piece.
Yeah, this goes beyond just bad lyrics. It's about how the whole verse is structured incorrectly. Big Sean's critique was about a specific habit.
He crams way too many syllables into one part of the bar than not enough in the next.
Exactly. So he's either rushing to catch up or leaving these big, awkward gaps. The Sword compared it to a raggedy game of Jenga. It always feels like it's about to collapse.
It creates this tension that doesn't feel deliberate. It just feels like he miscounted.
Right. And the lyrics themselves didn't do him any favors. They highlight that one infamous punchline.
Oh, I know this one. Still rocking Louis Vuitton condom because I'm soaking in style.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And the comment section for him was a real battlefield, a sharp divide between people who loved his hits and people who thought his verses were, quote, thing trash.
So he's a great example of a talented, successful artist with just this one persistent technical flaw that purists just cannot overlook.
No matter how clever he can be sometimes.
Okay, let's move into our last section, which is all about the rise of modern styles that traditionalists really struggle with. You know, what some people call the mumble era. This is where the debate just explodes. We start with Chief Keef at number 4.
Chief Keef, pioneer of Chicago drill. His critique is all about simple, repetitive, almost childish lyrics. The author uses the line, emojis, the B like to text emojis.
As Exhibit A for a profound lack of depth.
Right, but this is where the cultural defense comes in really strong. The most common comment from fans was, he ain't supposed to be lyrical.
And he makes sight music.
And that really illustrates the conflict. Drill music is about aggression, atmosphere, raw energy. Complex storytelling is not the point. If the goal is pure turn-up, and he succeeded in creating a whole subgenre, do traditional lyrical standards even apply anymore?
So is it possible for a type of music to just be exempt from lyrical critique because its goal is completely different?
That is the philosophical hurdle. If you judge him by Rakim's standards, he fails. If you judge him by his impact on a genre, he's a genius.
The problem of just being understood hits its peak at number 3 with Young Thug. Here the author says, look, the most basic function of a rapper is to be understood.
And Young Thug actively challenges that idea. He uses his voice like an instrument, warping it, prioritizing texture over clear pronunciation.
They use that hilarious analogy that listening to him is like being at a movie theater with bad audio and he sounds like Scooby-Doo on lean.
It's funny, but it gets to the core of it, right? Is a rapper's voice there to deliver information, or is it another sound in the mix, like a synthesizer?
Young Thug fans argue he represents a new type of music, but critics just call him a babbling maniac.
And what's wild is the debate wasn't about whether he was intelligible. Everyone agreed he wasn't. It was about whether that was a sign of genius or incompetence.
All right, finally, before we circle back to Soulja Boy, we hit Birdman at number 2. His critique isn't about inability, it's about a complete and total lack of effort.
Birdman is the ultimate argument against laziness. He's accused of making a career out of doing absolutely nothing on the mic. The effort level was described as paint-drying enthusiasm.
And the specific example of his minimal effort is it's breathtaking, the two-line couplet.
Oh, it's a classic. Went from sitting in the cell to sitting on a jet, from shitting in the cell to shitting on a jet.
He just changes one word. That's the whole rhyme scheme.
It's minimal effort elevated to an art form. And for the author, that sheer sloth, that profound lack of engagement with the craft is what gets him the #2 spot.
So we've gone through the whole list. From the stilted delivery of Eazy-E to the business savvy of Master P, the lazy rhymes of Mike Jones, the rhythmic chaos of Big Sean, and the deliberate weirdness of Young Thug.
And it all leads back to Soulja Boy as the Voltron of garbage. What this whole thing reveals is the key tension in modern hip-hop criticism.
Which is
Is the priority technical skill, flawless flow, complex rhymes, or is it cultural impact and being a pioneer?
because Master P built an empire. Chief Keef created a genre. Young Thug pushed vocal delivery into a new space. The author says skill is everything.
But the audience often says success and influence are what matter more. You really have to decide which side you're on.
And maybe the most telling part is the long tail of debate in the comments. People were demanding that names like Ja Rule, Future, Lil Wayne, even Kanye West be added to the list.
Right, and you're talking about artists like Wayne and Kanye who are regularly on best of all time lists too.
It just proves how subjective this all is. One person's incompetence is another person's brilliant, unique style.
And commercial success just blurs that line completely between what's technically bad and what's stylistically innovative.
Which leaves you with this final thought to chew on. Can music be technically bad by every traditional metric, but still be culturally and commercially successful? And does that success just cancel out the technical flaws? Or does creating a successful new type of music, like with Chief Keef and Young Thug, automatically make an artist exempt from the old rules of lyricism? That's the question you have to answer every time you hit play.